everyone. I am returning to Elton John today, and this time it's going to be a song called Indian Sunset. Well, I've done a few of his songs before. I guess I've done Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Come Down in Time, and there's another one. I'll think Candle in the Wind. That's right. And so I'm familiar with those pieces. I enjoyed them a lot. I expect I will enjoy this one too, because he seems to have a style that I find very, very nice and enjoyable. So let me read what I've got here and then we'll listen. Indian Sunset was released in 1971. John told Rolling Stone in 2011 that this song was one of his favorites to play live, saying, "I do Indian Sunset with Ray Cooper. Nobody knows that song at all. It's an obscure track from Madman Across the Water, and it gets a standing ovation every night." Ooh, I kind of like that. Some obscure little piece of music from tucked away in some corner. Sometimes those are real gems, aren't they? So maybe this is one? Let's find out.
As I woke this evening with the smell of wood smoke clinging, like a gentle cobweb hanging upon a painted teepee. Oh, I went to see my chieftain with my war lance and my woman, for he told us that the yellow moon would very soon be leaving. This I can't believe.
Okay, there's something I really like about the way this opens. Other than that little instrumental intro sound, we could say. This has been a cappella, just Elton John's voice, alone, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines in the in the lyrics. I don't very often hear that long of an a cappella portion in rock music, or it's kind of something you don't expect to hear unless the piece is really designed around a cappella singing. You might hear a couple phrases, you might hear a couple words or a line of music, but all that length, it really sets up an atmosphere, doesn't it? It sets up your expectation of, okay, really, where is this going? It has a sort of aloneness to it, of course, because it's just a single voice, no accompaniment whatsoever. But it gives a very intimate quality without any effort, simply because it's just the voice.
That the yellow moon would very soon be leaving. This I can't believe, I said, I can't believe our warlord's dead. Oh, we will not leave the chosen ones to the buzzards and the soldiers' guns. Oh, great father of the Iroquois, ever since I was young, I've read the writing of the smoke and breastfed on the sound of drums. I've learned to hurl the tomahawk and ride a painted pony wild, to run the gauntlet of the Sioux, to make a chieftain's daughter mine. And now you ask that I should watch the red man's race be slowly crushed. What kind of words are these to hear from a yellow dog whom a white man fears? I take only what is mine, Lord.
I like that little piano interlude there. I mean, okay, it's true. I'm enjoying all the instrumental stuff that comes and builds and grows, and there's this grand climax, and then it drops off. All of that is great. I mean, really, what I've heard of Elton John's work is that it's hard to criticize any particular part of it because it's so perfect in so many ways. It's so balanced. It's so perfectly paced, and all the details just, it's almost like you listen and you say, well, okay, there's another great one. But the special little moments are what really stand out to me in something like that, where everything is great, everything is good, it's all polished, and every element is exactly as you would expect it to be, as it ought to be. A nice harmonic progression, nice dynamic progression, everything is nice. But then those piano chords here, when they came in, the complexity in them was just enough to kind of break me out of a sort of, okay, I expect everything to be perfect, of course, but and I've also learned that his music is not really attempting to be jarring or surprising or make us uncomfortable or on edge. So there's this easy listening quality to it. But the chords that he chose in this little section really are enough to keep it from just being another bong, bong, bong. Okay, we're waiting for a little interlude. Everything's going to start up again. No, it was more than that. There was a richness and a harmonic progression that carried us through here, which was nice, and I enjoyed that. That pulsing bass line. Here. That's good. That was nice there, real shift. Dropping back down. And now we run into it. Isn't that nice? In fact, let's listen to it one more time, because actually there's a bit more going on than we would jump out at us right away, because there's something happening harmonically here, which is kind of a nice. Okay, so we ended on an A flat minor chord, and as I'm listening, this first portion has been settled in a minor key. I don't think it's A flat minor. I think let's back up just a second here. A couple seconds. Yes. So this is a really, well, I was just saying how perfect and easy everything happens with Elton John's music, at least so far that I've heard. And this is one of those examples where, okay, we've been settled essentially in E flat minor. It's been our home. We just finished that great kind of climactic moment on an A flat chord, A flat minor. And then see, then we end up on a D there. So what struck me with these chords in this piano bit that we're just coming to here, it's not that they were any surprising chord. Actually, what they end up being some incredibly basic, common chords. I mean, we're dealing with a just double check it. Yeah, it's simply a D major chord with a 7 added. And that feels so, I mean, to feel it as such a special moment is almost a surprise, perhaps, because you might think, oh, D major plus 7, that's your dominant 7 chord. I mean, I played that all the time. It comes up in so much music. Why is it so special here? Well, it's because we're shifting, and he's moving us from a flat minor key, from E flat minor by way of A minor, moving into this D7 chord. Now let's notice what he does with it here. Adds in a G sharp there.
I take only what is my Lord.
And he simply moved us into G major. One of the most common, easy keys to play in for so many instruments. And you open up any book of songs and you see a whole bunch of songs in G major. So that D7 chord was actually a special moment, not because of the chord name itself. Well, it's never special because of the chord name itself. Sometimes we're kind of entertained by these surprising chord names that come up that we don't see so often. This is kind of the reverse, where it's a chord we see so often and a key we see so often that we almost begin to kind of dismiss it as, okay, that's so ordinary. Can't you do something a little more exciting? But it's not about what sort of obscure key can you write your music in. It's how do the harmonic progressions and relationships interact and move throughout the piece. And this is one of those moments where maybe if we weren't paying attention, we might not really notice the shift, the modulation, as being such. But it still has an impact on us, although, as I said, it's done so smoothly that we don't find it jarring. We don't find it something that kind of jumps out and distracts. But we are moving from, and I don't know how long, I've never heard this piece before. I don't know how long we're going to be in the key of G major, but that's what we're moving into. And that's why when I heard that D7 chord, I said, oh, that's nice. That's a nice touch there. That feels nice. It's a whole different sound world than what we've been in. Okay, so with that in mind, let's listen to this build up and then I'll continue through and we'll explore the rest of the piece. Here it is, D7. And you feel and then that great G sharp A flat in there.
I take only
And it goes so smoothly.
my Lord, my pony, my squaw, and my child. I can't stay to see you die, along with my tribe's pride. I go to search for the yellow moon and the fathers of our sons, where the red sun sings in the hills of gold, and the healing waters run. Trampling down the prairie roads, leaving hoof tracks in the sand. Those who wish to follow me, I welcome with my hands. I heard from passing renegades, Geronimo was dead. He'd been laying down his weapons when they filled him full of a lead.
That's a good long note. I have to appreciate the moments when he does something. Well, I just got done saying that he doesn't do anything jarring. He doesn't do anything to really make it uncomfortable. And yet he does take certain bits of the music to kind of make it a little bit, shake us up a bit with the rhythm. And there are some pretty nice rhythmic things happening here. The way that he pushes us into something and then opens up this wide gap for a moment. And it's after such a long passage where, you know, it's kind of piano ballad style, da 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 da, just piano accompanying a voice telling a story. It's a welcome break to hear something that kind of gets us a little bit, wakes us up a little bit.
He'd been laying down his weapons.
That moment there, laying down his weapons, and the way the orchestra and the piano and everything else suddenly comes into sync with the voice so that it emphasizes what he is saying. And that moment, he'd been laying down his weapons, and you can hear the orchestra singing that as well.
Animal was dead. He'd been laying down his weapons when they filled.
And here come the drums to emphasize. And that trumpet. And then the strings. A little syncopation going on there. Here. Landing right there. Now we're back to this.
Now there seems no reason why I should carry on in this land that once was my land. I can find a home. It's lonely and it's quiet, and the horse soldiers are coming. And I think it's time I strung my bow and cease my senseless running. But soon I'll find the yellow moon along with my loved ones, where the buffaloes graze in clover fields with without the sound of guns. And the red sun sinks at last into the hills of gold. At peace to this young warrior comes with a bullet.
Sudden ending, really quite fitting for the for the lyrics, isn't it? This music, you know, it's just constantly moving gently, kind of peacefully, even though it's a tragedy, isn't it? And it keeps us going through the story. It's really a how would I describe this? I would say it's simply a story, a ballad, a story ballad type, where the lyrics are the main focus, but at the same time everything blends together. There are some really great moments in the piece where, for example, that modulation moment, or as I pointed out, that last portion with the rhythmic interruption. There were a couple other moments like that along the way in the piece, and each of them was very fitting, very suited. Another thing I noticed was how his careful use of the drums was to comment on and bring attention to certain points in the lyrics. Let's back up just to one spot here. It's kind of near the beginning. I guess it was as we were moving through that Acappella opening. And then the first bits of instrumentation came in. And then listen to the moment when the drums suddenly stepped in. So here's where
Oh, great father of the Iroquois.
Okay, here's the piano coming in.
Since I was young, I've read the writing of the smoke and breastfed on the sound of drums. I've learned to hurl the tomahawk.
That moment, and breastfed on the sound of drums, and that is the moment when the drums come in. You could say it's kind of a trick to sing the word drums and then instantly have the drums come in as their first introduction. But it becomes more than just a trick, because then as the next lines continue, that same little drum fill becomes, it develops into further contribution to the whole idea of what's being expressed, because
on the sound of drums, I've learned to hurl the tomahawk.
Here's the tomahawk being hurled. It's the painted pony. It's the gauntlet of the Sioux. It's the.
And now you ask that I should watch.
It gets darker. Gets darker.
What kind of
it's the same drum fill. It's the same commentary.
From a yellow dog whom a white man fears.
But the simple repetition of it at those moments in that sequence, lyrically, it works incredibly well to kind of develop the darker side of the piece and the kind of deepen our emotions and bring us into a whole different way of relating to what we're hearing. So those are the kinds of things that stand out to me in a piece like this. And it truly is such a well-crafted piece that you can sit and listen to it and let it play in the background and kind of just fades into the world around you, or you can sit down and dig into it and say, this and this and this and this. Oh, he did this. Oh, he placed this. All of that. But the word that comes to mind for me to sum up this entire piece, and actually everything I've heard of Elton John, is refinement, polish, this perfection in balance and progression through anything that I've heard him handle. And this polish, this perfection that we find in the piece is it makes it so easy to travel through the music with him that we can almost lose the power, the impact of what is being expressed. It kind of belies the darkness that we find in the lyrics and in the music. But in this piece, it works really well, actually, because we're traveling on, we hear the story developing, we hear the music enhancing the story, coloring it, kind of like, in a way, this music is kind of like a movie soundtrack. It is serving the same role as to the story, to the lyrics, as a music soundtrack to a movie would serve for a great movie. It's enhancing just the right moments and bringing things out without ever really stepping in and saying and getting in the way of the story. And so we kind of peacefully go along with this whole story and enjoy the ride. It's pleasant music. And that makes the final line all the more impactful. It suddenly comes up, stops us in our tracks. This last line, peace to this young warrior, comes with a bullet hole. And the music just comes to an abrupt stop at the very end. After all of this nice, fluid, easy transition, motion forward and, riding the waves and feeling the story, it makes that moment so incredibly powerful. It really punches where it hurts, doesn't it? And it's a piece which is almost like a surprise ending, like a sudden twist at the end of a story, the way it comes about like that. At least this first time I listened to it. I don't know how it would be listening a second time now that I know how it's going to end. But for me, that last line was such a heavy, strong moment emotionally. It was just like, oh, wow. Okay. It suddenly caught all the depth and tragedy and horror that we'd been kind of listening to in a kind of enjoyable manner all along. So that is what stands out to me about this piece. And the other thing that I want to say about Elton John's music overall, because you might notice that I'm being very complimentary about his music, and at the same time, you don't find me getting super, super excited about it. And you might be wondering, okay, is she just being politic? Is she just being complimentary because he's a big name? No, I am saying what I see and what I hear in the music. But it is true, I don't personally find his music grabbing me like some music does. And it's not because there's anything wrong with that music. It's because I personally like music that feels a little bit less, well, if I were going to, how would I say this? Maybe a little less prepared. This sounds very prepared. I've been using the words perfection, polish, smoothness, everything just going exactly as it ought to be. It's almost to the point that it feels too much so for me. There's this loss of raw humanity, which I like to find in music, whether it is a performance or interpretation of some great classical classic, or rock music or anything else. I personally, the music that grabs me is music that often has that element somehow tucked into it somewhere. And that is why you don't see me getting, super excited about something like this. Not because it's not good. It is. It's really good. It's just not quite what appeals to me. And so I bring that up because I want you to understand, I'm sitting here, I'm enjoying this, I am appreciating it, and yet I'm not finding myself, really pulled into it personally. That's why. At least, that's my best explanation why. Nonetheless, as a musician, I do have to say that Elton John's music is really outstanding. So, there you go. So, that is my most recent Elton John listen, Indian Sunset, and a great piece of music. It truly is. It's a lovely piece of music. A whole lot of wonderful things about it. And there we go. I'll see you soon.